Welcome to another video from ExplainingComputers.com. This time it's the first in a potential series of videos about running artificial intelligence applications on a Raspberry Pi. Specifically in this video we're going to be setting up Picroft, which is a Raspberry Pi version of the Mycroft open source virtual assistant. So what this will allow us to do is to talk to a Raspberry Pi and have the Raspberry Pi talk back and give us information from the internet in the same way we can have a conversation with Amazon's Alexa or Microsoft's Cortana or Apple's Siri. So let's go and get started. Right, in this video we're going to be running Picroft on my trusty Raspberry Pi 4 4GB model fitted here in its nice heatsink case, although you can use any model of Raspberry Pi 4 or indeed a Raspberry Pi 3 or 3B+. We'll also need a microSD card. This is a SanDisk Extreme 32GB microSD card I'm using here, but any card of 8GB capacity or more is fine. And we'll also need a Raspberry Pi power supply, you probably guessed that. And then during installation, during setup, we'll also be connecting the Pi to a keyboard and a monitor, although these won't be required when everything is set up. The reason they won't be required is because we're going to communicate with the Pi using audio, and for audio output I'm going to use this. This is a little powered speaker I got in a goodie bag from YouTube when I went to a YouTube space event years ago. Nice little thing. When we turn it on it makes a noise, I think. There we are, makes a noise. Makes two noises. There we are, that's exciting, isn't it? This will connect via this 3.5mm lead to the Pi's 3.5mm audio output, and of course you can use any powered speaker you've got which will connect to the Pi's analog audio output. I should note Picroft will output HDMI audio, so if you're connecting a monitor in you could use audio that way, but you can't use Bluetooth audio. It's best to use 3.5mm audio if you want to have a standalone Picroft setup. And then finally we're going to need some type of microphone so we can speak to the Pi, and this is by far the most tricky part of setting up a Picroft. As we'll see later during setup, there are only 4 officially supported options for a microphone, which are a PlayStation iUSB webcam and microphone, which I currently can't find for sale anywhere in the US or the UK, a Blue Snowball Ice USB microphone, which currently sells for about $60 or £50, a Google AIY voice hat and microphone board, which is currently being sold by Adafruit for $59.95, and finally a Matrix voice hat, which is another Alexa or other voice assistant hat for a Raspberry Pi and which costs about $75. So, as you can see, all of the currently available and officially supported microphone options for Picroft are pretty expensive. And unlike something like this, a powered speaker, they're not the sort of thing that the average Raspberry Pi owner is likely to have lying around. Now personally, I do have a Google AIY voice hat. Here it is, and I have this because I built a Google Assistant with a Raspberry Pi using the Google AIY voice kit in a video back in I think October 2017. This is basically a board that goes on top of the Pi. Here's some good quality microphones. It's got a speaker as well, as you can see. But at least initially, I'm not going to use this in my Picroft build because I want to do a build which is like a project experimental build that lots of people will try out. You won't be buying probably hardware at this price to do that, but you might have something like, wait for it, something like this. This is a small USB dongle microphone. This one is branded Kinobo. Let's get it out of the packing. If I can get in. Where's it gone? I can't get it out, as always. There we are. Tiny little microphone for the Pi. Let's plug it in. The Pi's now got a microphone like that. And I'm hopeful this will work with Picroft. And one of the reasons I'm hopeful is I used this microphone when I set up Amazon's Alexa on the Raspberry Pi in a video back in March 2017. So as USB microphones like this cost about $9, £9, something like that, I thought I'd give it a try. And almost certainly this will stop us talking to Picroft from a long distance from across the room, but from a few feet away I think it'll work. And I will give some links in the video description to small microphones like this, or at least that look like this, although I must stress I cannot guarantee that any microphone not officially supported by Picroft will actually work. Guess what? Here we now are on the website for Mycroft, the private and open voice assistant, where their latest smart speaker is on promotion. We can see it there. And if we go a bit further down, we can find out about AI for everybody. Mycroft claims to be the world's leading open source voice assistant. And it can run on a Raspberry Pi as Picroft. There it is. And if we go a bit further down, we find the Mycroft promise, which is a pretty critical thing because the key thing here is that Mycroft is private by default. They promise never to sell your data or to give you advertisements on their technology. And it's important to point out that Mycroft works in exactly the same way as, say, Amazon's Alexa works, in that once you've spoken a control word, your audio is streamed out to the cloud, to a remote data center, where it works out what you were saying and what you want to know about and sends data back to your device. So Mycroft and the Picroft version of it do rely on a remote cloud service, but one with a very different type of promise to the one we get from, say, Amazon or Google or Microsoft. So let's go and look at About Mycroft over here, learn a bit more about the system. AI for everyone again. You can see it's got all sorts of skills, the same way that Siri's got skills or Alexa's got skills. But we've also got here open access. This is an open source voice assistant. And if we go a bit further down, you'll find we can get to the GitHub pages for Mycroft. Here we are. And if we go a bit further down here, you will see, oh look, Picroft. We've got a link there to the Picroft materials. And if we go down there, we can find, wait for it, there we are, look, we can download an image of Picroft to run on a Raspberry Pi. And there's also some pages over here all about Picroft and setting it up and all that type of stuff. Very useful pages here about the hardware, setting it up, all that type of thing. So it's all very nicely documented to set the thing up. And so as I downloaded the file earlier, it's about a 3 GB download. I'm now going to minimize our browser and bring up Balena Etcher, where I've selected the Picroft image, and our microSD card is also selected, so I'll now flash the Picroft image to the microSD card. And there we are, it's finished, so let's now go and see if we can bring Picroft to life. Right, I've now put the microSD card into the Pi and connected it to the speaker, power, a keyboard and a monitor. And I've also added a wired network connection, as by default in Picroft, Wi-Fi is turned off. So it's easier to set things up with an Ethernet connection and to configure Wi-Fi after that. So let's turn on the power to the Pi and go across to the monitor screen, where we can see the Pi is booting up into a version of Raspberry Pi OS. And it seems to be doing various reboots as it goes through its setup process, so we'll let it run through. And here we are, we've arrived on the Picroft command line interface, where the first question it's asking us is, do we want to use the guided setup? To which I think I'm going to say yes. Oh, it's doing some updates. There we are, those are finished. And it's now asking us how we want Mycroft to output audio. So I'm going to select number 1 here for our 3.5mm output to our speaker. There we are. And we can now set a volume level. I'm going to select 9, I think. That seems always sensible to me.
Test.
Oh, it played a test. That was good. Let's play the test again.
Test.
And that seems to work.
Test.
Except for the fact, as you won't know, that the audio output is coming currently from the HDMI audio output on the Pi, not via the 3.5mm jack. And I'm going to leave this for now because we need to go in and configure Wi-Fi later anyway, so we'll leave this for now and move on to the next step by pressing D for done. And next, as you can see, it's asking us to set up our microphone configuration, with the options being those we looked at earlier. So here I'm going to press 4 for other USB microphone, and it's wishing us good luck, so I'll press 4. And it's now saying we need to do a microphone test, so I'm going to press a key, speak for 10 seconds or so, and we'll see what happens. So wish us luck. Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I will keep talking until something happens. Has something happened? I don't know. I'll keep talking and then stop. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I will keep talking until something happens. Has something happened? I don't know. I'll keep talking. And then... Well, there we are. That all seemed to work. I spoke and then it played it back to us if you figured out what was going on there. Did we hear it? I'm going to say yes by pressing number 1. And we now need to select, it seems, an update option. I'm going to use the recommended one, number 1. And I'll stick with a normal Raspbian or Raspberry Pi OS configuration of no password for sudo by pressing 1 again. And it's now saying, do we want to change the password? I think it's a good idea as it suggests on a network device. So we'll go yes. And I'll enter a new password. And now all we need to do, it seems, is to press a key to launch Mycroft. And things have run through. We now need to press enter.
I'm connected to the internet and need to be activated. Open your browser and visit home.mycroft.ai to register this device.
It's clearly telling us what to do there.
You can register me by going to Devices, selecting Add Device, then use the code L as in London, J as in Juliet, L as in London, J as in Juliet, L as in London, J as in Juliet.
And there we are. Picroft has read us a 6-digit registration code, although, as I'm sure you've guessed, here what I've done is to double up the first 2 digits of the code, so you don't know the actual code for my Picroft installation. To finish setting up Picroft, we need to pair our device with a Mycroft account. And earlier I created an account on the Mycroft website, and here I've logged in for the first time where I asked you various questions about what you want to be called, things like that. But the key question I think is this one, whether or not we want to join Mycroft's open dataset. And if we do join the open dataset, then the data we send to Mycroft, or in other words the audio that's streamed from our device, will be retained and used for research purposes as it says on this screen. Whereas if we opt out, our audio recordings are not kept for any purpose whatsoever, they're just deleted. And so I think I'm going to give us a bit more space on the screen, pressing F11 here in the browser, and I'm going to select maybe later and then finished. And this should take us to our home page. I think this must be it. We can do exciting things like becoming a member or setting up skills and things, but right now we need to add a device, which I think is in the menu up here. Looks like it is. There we are, add device, so I'll click on that. And oh look, we've got there is preferences for the device. Measurement system, I think I'll go for, let's go Imperial, why not? Time for 24 hour, I'll go for the standard British date format. Country is going to be, will it take United Kingdom? It will. I'll just finish this off. And then we need to select our voice. I'm going to go for American male. And we'll stick with the wait word being Hey Mycroft, because I don't particularly want any of the others, although Hey Jarvis is exciting, isn't it? And we'll go for a next. And then now we have to input our pairing code. And then we have to give the device a name. Can we call it Pi4 Picroft? I don't know if that has to be unique to either me or the entire system. If the entire system, that might not work. Placement. Studio. Geographic location, I thought we'd just done this, we'll do it again. And there we are, things seem to be finished. So, if we go back across to the Raspberry Pi, which I've rebooted since the last segment of the video, and I've also made the console font a bit bigger, we should in theory be able to have a conversation. So let's have a go. Hey, Mycroft. What is the time?
4:13.
It works. And if we want to see what's going on the screen, which of course we wouldn't normally have connected, but if we do, we can enter the command to enter the Mycroft CLI client, as you can see here. So let's see if I can type that right. There we go. Cross our fingers. Something seems to be happening. There we are. Oh, we can see a mic level on the screen. Let's have a longer conversation. Hey, Mycroft. What is 9 times 6?
9 times 6 is 54.
Hey, Mycroft. What is the weather tomorrow?
Wednesday the high will be 55 and the low 41 with light rain.
Hey, Mycroft. Hey, Mycroft. Make me laugh.
What is Chuck Norris' favorite JavaScript framework knockout is?
So there we are. The system clearly needs to work a bit on its comic delivery and timing, but other than that, we've got Picroft up and running okay. Greetings! Here I am back again, all ready to set up Picroft to run wirelessly without a monitor. And to do that, the first thing I'm going to do, having booted up Picroft, is to close down the Mycroft service, which we can do with a Mycroft and a stop like that. There we are, all its services have come to an end, and we're now going to set up Wi-Fi by editing the Pi's WPA supplicant configuration file, which we can do with the command I've got in the buffer here, like that. And in this file, you might have to set the country code. This will note I'm in the UK, which bizarrely uses the country code GB. And I now need to enter my network details by doing a network like that, and equals and opening up like that. And then I need to put in my SSID, which is going to be like that. And of course, I'm not showing you what it is. And I also need to put in the password, like that, and close off network. And if we now just Control X to come out of this, and it'll prompt us to save the file, which will obviously go yes, and we'll save it like that. And then the next thing we want to do is to make sure our audio is going to come out of our 3.5mm audio jack and not via HDMI. And I've been reading up quite a lot on this in terms of what setting has got priority over what. And cutting a long story short, it seems to be we need to edit the Mycroft configuration file. So again, we'll use the nano text editor, and I've got the command down here. And what we need to do is to edit the hardware part right on the end from a 00 to a 10 in both instances, like that. And that should force 3.5mm audio output. So again, we'll come out of this and save the file, and should be okay like that. And then finally we need either to reboot the Pi, which we could do with a sudo reboot and a now like that. But in fact, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to shut things down because I want to change how the Pi is set up. So I'm going to do a shut down now, which of course will shut down the Pi. And by the magic of filmmaking, I've now got things set up with just the Pi connected to the speaker, no keyboard, no monitor, no Ethernet lead. Obviously a power lead is still here or things wouldn't work. And the Pi has been rebooted. It's picked up Wi-Fi, so we can have another conversation with Mycroft. Hey, Mycroft. Spell aardvark.
IARDVARK.
Hey, Mycroft. When were you created?
2015 is when I was born.
Hey, Mycroft. Where were you born?
The Lawrence Center for Entrepreneurship.
Hey, Mycroft. What is a penguin?
Penguin is a group of aquatic flightless birds.
And there we are. And if you're wondering what is the range of things that Mycroft can do, well, if we go to the website and log in and go to our account and go down to skills, we can see all the default skills which are initially available. And as you can see, there is an audio recorder, what date and time, searching on DuckDuck. We've got jokes, which we tried last time. We can get Mycroft to tell us the news. It can set us alarms, reminders. It can sing. It can spell things, as we just tried out, all that type of stuff. And other skills can be added, including skills potentially to control GPIO pins on the Pi. Oh, and I almost forgot to tell you that I've had no problems using the tiny dongle USB microphone with Picroft. It only works if you speak to the device basically sitting right in front of you. I'm speaking to Picroft with it sitting on the desk in front of me right now. But providing you do that, the small USB mic works absolutely fine. And to give it a final test, we'll try a final command. Hey, Mycroft. Make me laugh.
How many programmers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They just make darkness a standard.
And there we are. Its sense of humour has improved, and so now I think I'll bring this video to a close. Setting up Mycroft is a great way to start experimenting with artificial intelligence on a Raspberry Pi. If you'd like me to make more videos about doing things with artificial intelligence on a Pi, please let me know down in the comments section. Please leave me a comment all about it. And if you'd like to know more about artificial intelligence in general, you might be interested in watching my recent Explaining the Future video over on my Explaining the Future channel, which is called AI, Robots and the Future. But now that's it for another video. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, please press that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And I hope to talk to you again very soon.